This week's Facebook Live, and today I'm posing, I suppose, a question. One reason you might feel off-centered, and I'm just going to concentrate on one reason and one reason alone. It can be a very big reason we can feel off-center, off-kilter, and if you find that you're no longer feeling true to yourself, then that's important to investigate. It is important to investigate because who we truly are is important, and it should be definitely to us. So no matter what other people say, we are important. No matter what they think or feel or do or think, they can say what they like. It's their opinion. They're entitled to it just as much as we are. But what we have to say and what we have to think and what we have to feel is equally important. It's your life, and we get to live it the way we want to live it. So if you're feeling off-centered, and I'm not talking about just being feeling off-center or off-kilter or unbalanced because of stress on everyday stress in your life, or just if you're going through a particular stressful time. I'm talking about feeling like you just don't know yourself anymore, who you are, what you're doing with your life. Then sometimes at that point it's time to go back to basics and have a rethink on who we are, and to identify really our values. And that's what we're going to talk about, and identify the values today and why it's important we should identify that. Because if we don't know what our values are, then how are we supposed to know that, are they ours? Have they been adopted over the years to suit somebody else? Are they being true to us? Or are they true to somebody else? Are we living our own lives or somebody else's life? So, maybe we need to start questioning. Maybe not every aspect of our life, because that would probably be maybe too big. I wouldn't advise you to do it particularly alone. I would advise you, if you were going to do that, that you actually go and talk to somebody if you're going to examine every part of your life. But if you wanted to just look at one value or one aspect of your life in connection with your values, then go ahead. It's okay to do a little bit of exploring around our values, and to find out, okay, what do I believe, or what's my core beliefs here? What are my values in relation to this aspect of my life? And when we start to understand that, then maybe we can see, okay, maybe I'm being disconnected because of these values. And then that information is something then we use as a stepping stone to fixing, to changing our life the way we want it up. So what is a value? What is a personal value? It's actually a stable, long-lasting belief about what is important to us. Okay, there's lots of values that we can have in our life. It's basically general standards by which we create order and make choices in our life. We categorize our life into different areas, family or career or success or happiness or wealth. And attached to that then is values that we attach to those areas as well. And we then use those values, as I said, to make clear, rational, responsible and consistent decisions. Now, if you're feeling disconnected, they're not going to be clear, they're not going to be rational, they're not going to be responsible, maybe they're not going to be consistent for you, because you're not engaged with these values. Because these values, they feed our attitudes and ultimately our behavior. And when we get disconnected, or we start to even reject a value, then that's going to make us feel off center and unbalanced in our life. So ways that we can, and you can use these ideas that I'm going to talk about today as, how am I feeling disconnected from the values? What's going on? How is it that these values have now become redundant or outdated? So this would be one idea of, like, why am I feeling disconnected or off center? Well, the value was one that I adopted as a child, but I've outgrown it as an adult. So for example, parents and teachers are always telling kids, work hard in school, get good grades, and this will help you advance in life, in later life. So this value of work hard, and that's a value, I want to adopt. I want to adopt this value of I have to work hard. Well, as an adult, it may have taken a negative connotation with it. Um, because we now see that this work hard value as something that means we've become maybe a workaholic, or we have become a perfectionist. So there's no room in our life for fun, for family, for friends, for other things in our life other than to work hard. And we always seem to be working, and this is having a huge negative impact on our life. And we've become blinded by this one value of work hard, and it unbalances our life. So, in order to become reconnected with our life, then we need to recover from this work hard value, and basically let it go, and see that it's outdated, it's redundant, it's no longer. We've taken it on with a different meaning than it was really meant for. So we need to disconnect from that value and move on. So that's just one way of value. Other ways, or other times we can become disconnected from the value is a major life change happens, a crisis happens. And then our values and our core beliefs can get a real shake up. And we begin to question everything, even if it's only subconsciously. You mightn't be aware of it, you mightn't even realize, why am I feeling off center, or don't understand why I'm feeling disconnected from my life. But it's on a subconscious level. You're starting to shake up the values, you're starting to shake up these core beliefs. And life changes can happen in many disguises. We get married, that's a big life change, to get married to somebody, or to move in with somebody, become their partner. Have kids, that's a major identity, can cause a major identity crisis there. And we start to question everything. A change in your career, a complete change in your career. Maybe you were doing one thing. I've met lots of people in my life that they were maybe a chef for 30 years, one particular person in particular, and they're now going off to do social care. I mean, completely different job. We can do that, and a lot of people are doing that these days, even later in life. Maybe going to college or leaving home for the first time. That's a big deal. It's a big life change. A health crisis would be a typical one that we would see, but there's lots of other ones. But any of these can feel us and leave us feeling disconnected and questioning the values. And maybe if it's in connection with a health crisis, well, then we're going to start questioning. Maybe it'll go back to our work. Have we been working too much? Am I too much of a perfectionist? Have I been too much of a codependent or a doormat for somebody? So we begin to question our relationships. But it all comes back down to these values and core beliefs. So it's important that we look at these and don't rule them out. The other way is when we're feeling disconnected in our life too, is we're trying to emulate others. And I think social media in particular, media in general, but social media can put us an awful lot under pressure these days to do this, to emulate other people. They could be people that you admire, so we're trying to copy them. That's what we're doing. And this doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a celebrity. It could be just somebody even but you're not them. You're yourself. You really need to come back and say, no, I'm me. It's okay to admire somebody, but if you try and adopt that person's values, these values aren't yours. You're not as invested in them. You just can't take them on and not feel overwhelmed and disconnected from your own life, because you're basically ignoring a fundamental part of who you are when you do this. You're going to end up very unhappy and feeling frustrated in your life. So it's important that you examine, what have I been doing here if I'm trying to adopt this. Another example would be, adopting a should be value. Now, should be values, it's not just about I should be behaving in a certain way. It could be I could, I only can have certain emotions. I can only have certain feelings. I can only think in a certain way. And these are all highly regulated by this should be value. I should be a certain way. An awful lot of, when I think of this should be value, it's like the good girl or the good boy can come up here. Um, we've adopted it mainly from childhood, or we've received this message at some point that said we will be rewarded, we will be loved, we will get affection, but only if we adopt this value of should be behaving in a certain way, should be thinking in a certain way, should be feeling in a certain way. But it's all about keeping that other person happy. It's not about you, and you're going to end up feeling very unhappy, frustrated, and disconnected from your life. You can also end up with other conditions such as codependency, perfectionism, procrastination, depression, anxiety, highly stressed, are all typical of adopting this should be value. Basically, you're again ignoring you, your true self, and who you are. You're ignoring your own wants, your own needs, your own desires, all for this value of should be. I should be a certain way in order to be acceptable. And as I said, I'm not going to go into, giving you tips on recovering from this. It's only to get you examining your values and different maybe areas of your life. And if you feel that you are very disconnected, then I would say please reach out for help. There are many ways we can become disconnected from our values during our lifetime. Understanding them and understanding this, that they can have such a powerful effect on our lives, our mood, our behaviours, our way of thinking, is very important. And this is just the first step in reclaiming your life and empowering yourself to have the life that you want, is by understanding the values and how vitally important they are in either disempowering us or empowering us. So please do think about that. It's something maybe I think you should think about if you're feeling disconnected. And as I said, if you are, please reach out for support to a local therapist wherever you are. I'm going to leave it there for today. Next week will be the final blog on Facebook Live next week for this year. So I'll see you all then. Have a good week. Enjoy your weekend. If you're in Ireland, stay safe with all that ice and snow out there. So please stay safe out there on the roads if you're travelling. But have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you all next week.